Pascal. You are now rocking with that dude Pascal. We be going wild, Haitian in the building, so original. Got the haters catching feelings. Get your hands up to the ceiling and keep them held high. Cause St. Louis isn't ready. Forget about it, goodbye. Hold up, we just saying hi. Five somebody, rise up. Weekdays, catch us live. Somebody, let's go.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Pascal Show. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. I hope you all are having a wonderful Tuesday. Some people call it Monday Part 2. I like to call it this Tuesday. Hopefully you guys are having a terrific one, y'all. Man, we got a lot to talk about. And there's something that's going on right now as we speak. We've been covering it, sort of like sprinkling it in throughout the show, sprinkling it in. You know, we've been sprinkling in this story like crazy. Kyle Rittenhouse, the trial that's going on right now. I know that there's going to be a lot of people that have opposing views today. As far as this verdict, what the verdict is going to be, and all that. So we have a few things that we need to talk about, and of course, you know, I'm going to open up I'm going to see what happens. I'm going to open up the video chat lines or the phone call or the phone lines to have a conversation with you guys, because there's a lot that's going on right now. As we already know, there's a lot going on. Jury is supposed to be going in to deliberate on the verdict, basically to make a choice on the future for this young man, Kyle Rittenhouse. So we got some things we got to talk about. The trial has just begun. So let me, I want to kill this stuff really quick because, like I said, there is quite a bit that we need to go into. Right now, I'm flying solo dolo right now. David cannot be with us today, but, you know, we are going to be covering this story. And I want to hear your thoughts. I want to hear your thoughts and opinions about this whole thing, because there is quite a bit to talk about. And of course, we all have our own opposing views. As we know right now, we already know that the smallest charge that Kyle could have been found guilty on, which was an easy one, which was basically an underhand pitch, okay, has been dropped. The minor in possession of the possession of a weapon charge has been dropped. Why? Because of some ridiculous technicality, in my personal opinion. But the smallest charge that he could be found easily guilty on has been dropped. It was dropped yesterday. And shout out to Zozo Bob, because he was the one who kind of broke the information to us while we were talking about it. That was happening live as we were covering a little bit about this Kyle Rittenhouse-ish. So we got to go into this thing, man. Because, like I said, there's already a whole bunch of stuff going on. Let's take a listen. Let's scroll back a little bit, because obviously they have already been going through some ish. So let's take a look. And it's short. It's a short one, y'all. And I love you too, Spartan X. Thank you so much. Hit that like button down below. I forgot to say that. And of course, crush that subscribe button. All right. It'd be great to have you a part of the Pascal Show family. So don't forget to do all of that ish. As we already know, judge has already gone in, sat down. This has already happened about 15 minutes ago. So we're about to play it again. We're playing a replay. But we already know that the jury is about to go in to deliberate whether or not, the fate of this young man, whether he is guilty or not. So we're going to have a Let's Talk or Speak on It Tuesday today, and we're going to chop it up about this, because I'd like to hear your thoughts about all this. Now, I don't hear anything so far. What the heck? Nothing. Hold up. No sound on this one. That's some BS. That is some BS. Hold on, guys. Are we not hearing sound at all? Hold on, guys. That's some horse-ish. Let's see if they got it here. Okay, there's sound, so I don't understand why this is tripping. That whole thing gone. Okay. This is just... Let's see. Is this today?
Respecting the case.
Yep, this is live. Okay. So I got something for y'all. But like I said, that just... Let us get into this.
With his left hand, and then brings his left hand over to the gun and raises it and points.
These are just highlights, but it's going straight into the live here. No kidding, her. They don't want us to. They don't want us to see the verdicts. Come on now.
Mr. Rosenbaum doesn't take kindly to people.
System. So let's listen in right here live on Live Now from Fox.
Anyway, there was a request if you could use laptops, and the answer to that is yes, but of course under the same rules that you've had all along, which is you're not to communicate in any way or access any site respecting the case. And let's take the strike the jurors as necessary. All of the jurors' numbers have been exhibited to the defendant, I believe, and they're paper clipped together now. And then please put them in the tumbler, and the bailiff will rotate it, and then the defendant will draw out 6 of the numbers. Do you want to leave them as is, Judge? No, just separate them. And the names which are drawn out will be the jurors will be dismissed.
Yikes. Woo, that was loud. Good morning to everybody who's starting to file in. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Don't forget to hit that like button on the way in. We're going to get into a conversation here very, very soon. Okay. Come on in, come on in, come on in, y'all.
Will you please stand up? Number 11, number 58, number 14, number 45, number 9, and number 52. And then if you'll follow the bailiff into the back room.
Oh, real quick. I'm sorry for pausing this real quick, but all right. Number one, I am looking to speak to some sort of esquire, some sort of lawyer. I keep saying this over and over and over again, but I am definitely in the search, because every single lawyer I have spoken to is either in trial right now, working on a case or something of that sort. And there's no shade on that. But at the same time, it is very hard to get lawyers, especially especially a knowledgeable lawyer on this show. I would love to get a lawyer to be I'm literally looking for a correspondent, right? Someone who is knows their legals, right? Knows the law and can chop it up and be on this show whenever they can be on the show. If not, of course, if they're working on cases, I understand that. But that's the one piece that I'm working on and looking for. So I'm saying this out to the family. I'm saying this out to all y'all who are watching this show right now. If you happen to be a lawyer and know your way around the law and have no problem getting on camera and talking about legalese, I guess, legal-ish, all right, please contact this show, because it would be really great to have you on this show to get another perspective, the legal perspective on a lot of these things, because there's things that I don't personally know, but somebody who's an expert in the law would be fan-freaking-tastic, all right? So again, I'm just saying that again, if you know a lawyer, okay, the legalities, exactly, Rondell, because every single last lawyer I have spoken to said that they could, and then they dropped out at the last minute. And there's a lot of stuff that I want to talk about and cover that can clarify a lot of things for us that I can't right now, because I don't have an esquiring up in this B. So just saying that out loud, please email me. All right. Info at the Pascal Show, and bang. That's it. Let's continue. Because the one question I want to know is, why are there alternates, right? They have 12 jurors. They have 6 alternates being chosen by a lottery right now. Why is that happening right now? That's one piece I want to know, right? Now, I know some of you guys might know this already, but that's a question that I feel like me, myself, and everybody else would want to know. Just that little piece right here. That's some information I'd love to know. So email me.
All right, members of the jury, it is for you to determine whether the defendant is guilty or not guilty of each of the offenses charged. You must make a finding as to each count in the information. Each count charges a separate crime, and you must consider each one separately. Your verdict for the crime charged on one count must not affect your verdict on any other. As I indicated, I think yesterday, that you must return only one verdict for each count of the information. If you need to communicate with me while you are in deliberation, please send a note through the bailiff, which is signed by the presiding juror whom you've elected. In the event that you have questions, I will talk with the attorneys before answering, so it may take some time. You should continue your deliberations while you await an answer. I will answer any questions in writing or orally here in open court. When you agreed upon your verdict, have it signed and dated by the presiding juror as to each count, and all of you return with the verdict to the court. Bailiffs? You need to solemnly swear that you will keep all persons sworn on this jury together in some private and convenient place, and that you will not speak to them nor permit anyone else to speak to them concerning the state of their deliberations or the verdicts upon which they have agreed, so help you God. Ready? Okay. All right, folks, you can retire to consider your verdicts.
And there you have it, y'all. Now the jury has gone off to deliberate. Black Anonymous, thank you so much. I'll take a look at it when I get a second here, obviously after the show is over. But here it is. Wow, it's amazing how many people who agree, disagree, that are
And there you have
with it and not
now
with
we
it.
have the official 12 jurors, and then the 6 that did not get picked, they will be alternates just in case, say, if a juror might get sick, or they'll be thrown in there as well. But now it is now officially the case to the jurors right now in the hands of this case, and really Rittenhouse's life are now in the juror's hands right now. I say life because he could be looking at a life
Life in prison.
sentence for the most serious crime there. So we will continue to bring you always the very latest right here on Live Now from Fox. Some of you are going to see a 2-minute break, and then we will have more coverage on the Rittenhouse trial. So show you some more of the highlights that was from yesterday.
So there it is, guys. I mean, as you just heard the anchor just say a second ago. So there it is, everybody. The jury is now going in to deliberate whether or not Kyle Rittenhouse is guilty or not for the acts that he had done on that fateful night, on that dreadful night in Kenosha. So there it is. Now the question is him guilty or is him not guilty? That's the question. That's the question that I would like to know, right? In regards to this whole thing, right? So, of course, I'm going to be opening up the lines here in a little bit because I want to hear all y'all thoughts, video panel, video chat line, because I know that there's all types of people from all over the world that are watching this, right? We're on pins and needles. We're on at the edge of our seats, waiting to see what is happening with this trial. Of course, we also do have the other trial, Ahmaud Arbery, right? Where we are literally at the edge of our seats with that one as well. But I will say this, though, too. I do feel that the judge in that one, in that particular case, is a teeny bit more on the fence. I feel that this judge tends to be a tad bit more biased towards Kyle Rittenhouse, just a tad bit. Okay. And maybe I'm making that, maybe I'm saying that I'm being very, very nice right now, but, like I could go all the way in on his ass right now and say like, he just wants to, he just wants to protect that kid's ass. Real talk. Maybe maybe what I'm saying is an understatement and I'm trying to be cordial and kind, right? But real talk, mother lover bias as hell when it comes to this, in my personal opinion, okay? Because don't get me wrong, prosecution has been trash. Prosecution's been trash, okay, when it comes to this trial. But they're going in. Judge has been on that dude's ass like a mother lover, and on the prosecution's ass. Anything he says, even if he just kind of turns his head in that way, if he reacts to a comment that say somebody who is testifying that's on the stand, a witness, that he will sit there and go, don't react, kind of thing. It's like this guy, no one has a chance at anything. So in my personal opinion, obviously there are a lot of people that feel some type of way that would beg to differ on how they feel about this, whether he is guilty or not guilty. But in my personal opinion, which I do not agree with, I do feel that Kyle Rittenhouse is going to walk away unscathed. Hence the reason why they have hundreds of the National Guard soldiers out there ready, just in case if the jury comes in and out real quick and makes a decision and says that he's not guilty, because they know for a fact that the streets are going to be on fire. They're in preparation for what the jury's going to say. Now, did the defense pose a strong argument? The prosecution pose a strong argument? These are the questions that I'd like to know from you guys, your own personal opinions about this thing. right? But let me throw this poll up really quick, and then I'm going to open up the video chat lines because I'd like to hear all y'all's thoughts. What are your thoughts on this? Are you with it? Are you not with it? Be ready. Let me just write this poll in here real quick. Okay. So I just put a poll up. So go and check it out. Give it a second so it can figure itself out. Okay. Oh, let me fix this. There we go. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. What do you think? Okay, because here's the thing. Because like I said, and I'm going to put up the video chat line link here in a second. Here's the thing. Because you can easily sit there and say what you think is he going to be found guilty or is he going to be found not guilty? Now, here's the thing. The reason why I ask this is because you can say in your heart of hearts, like in my heart of hearts, I feel that he is guilty. He is not innocent. He is not an innocent man. Like he is not. Okay? He is not, in my personal opinion. Okay? I think he should be found guilty. Okay? But I do think that he is going to be found not guilty. Doesn't mean I agree with it. It's just what I think the verdict is going to be. You feel me? So, for those of y'all who are voting, yes, of course, a lot of people are going to vote how they feel innately, but within the performance of the court, the performance of the defense, and the performance of the prosecution, was it strong enough? Were either side's arguments strong enough for Kyle to walk free or Kyle to get locked up for good? Because like news anchor said a second ago, Kyle could be looking down the barrel of life in prison. He could be looking, if found guilty, he could be looking at life in prison. Now, one thing before we go into opening up the chat lines and everything, let's talk about let's look at what are the things that he's being charged with, right? And of course, there's one thing that we can look at and say, without the possession of a firearm, right? Illegal possession of a firearm. Okay, so let me just pull this up so that we can all see this together. And by the way, please hit that like button down below. Hit it. Okay. And of course, crush that subscribe button. You know, we don't only talk about Brian Laundrie, Gabby Petito, Astro World, Travis Scott, Drake. I mean, we talk about all the heavy hitting things that are going on in the world, all the hard stuff. We have the uncomfortable conversations. And even we talk about stuff as you know, drama centric as DaBaby and Danny Lay, right? Which is something that I'm going to have a conversation about tonight. So be sure to tune in tonight at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time, because I am going to be chopping it up about DaBaby and how he just filed 2 charges of assault on his new baby mama, Danny Lay. So, Vix Tex, you're right. You know, it's all about the current events, you know, obviously trending news and all that stuff, right? So please, if you guys are watching the show for the very first time and don't know about this show or don't know what this show entails, this is what we talk about. everything and anything that is going on in the world. And we have these uncomfortable conversations all the time. Okay. So if you like that stuff and you like having open conversations, thinking outside the box and hearing opposing views, aside from just mine, then hit that subscribe button. Okay. I am working towards 50,000 subscribers. So help me get to 50,000 subscribers. We are this close, y'all. We are so damn close to 50,000 subscribers. And I cannot say thank you guys enough. And we're going to have a celebration when we get to that number. Okay. It is info at thepascalshow.com. Okay, Black Anonymous? Info at thepascalshow.com. Okay. All right. So if you do know of a lawyer and all that stuff that's interested in all that, please go and do your thing. Thank you so much for subbing. For all y'all who are starting to sub, thank you so much. I really do appreciate it. Okay. And hit that like button down below. I see over 450 souls watching the show right now as we speak. Please hit the subscribe button and crush that like button. Send those likes past 200 likes. That would really mean a lot. I'm going to be opening up the phone lines here very, very shortly. I keep saying, or the video chat lines here very, very shortly. I will be talking about this with all you guys, but let's look at this list. Let's look at this list. He's looking at, well, he was looking at 6. I think now he's looking at 5. Okay. So this was an article that was posted 3 days ago. Obviously, yesterday, one of those charges was dropped. But let's go through the 6, okay? And good morning, downtown Trina Brown. Good morning. Hopefully you are enjoying a good cup of coffee, all right? All right, so count 1, first-degree reckless homicide, use of a dangerous weapon, okay? So this is connected in the death of Joseph Rosenbaum. That obviously this is the first man that Rittenhouse shot. Bystander video shows Rosenbaum chasing Rittenhouse through a parking lot and throwing a plastic bag at him. Not a chain, not a knife. Obviously, I'm a little biased, but I'm going to throw in my 2 cents. Okay, Rittenhouse flees behind a car and Rosenbaum follows. Video introduced at the trial shows Rittenhouse wheeling around and firing as Rosenbaum chased him. Richie McGinnis, a reporter who was trailing Rittenhouse, testified that Rosenbaum lunged for Rittenhouse's gun. Okay, so this reckless homicide differs from intentional homicide in that prosecutors aren't alleging Rittenhouse intended to murder Rosenbaum. Instead, they're alleging Rittenhouse caused Rosenbaum's death in circumstances following an utter disregard for human life. So, count 1 is first degree reckless homicide. That's right. So you understand, reckless homicide, use of a deadly or use of a dangerous weapon. Count 2, first degree recklessly endangering safety, use of a dangerous weapon. The felony charge is connected to Rosenbaum's shooting. McGinnis told investigators he was in the line of fire when Rittenhouse shot Rosenbaum. The charge is punishable by 12 and a half years in prison. The weapons modifier carries an additional 5 years. Prosecutors asked Schroeder to let the jury consider a second-degree version of this charge. The difference is that the second-degree version doesn't require a finding that Rittenhouse acted with utter disregard for human life. Schroeder said he was inclined to allow that instruction, though he didn't make a final ruling. The charge is punishable up to 10 years in prison. Now, first-degree reckless endangering safety, use of a dangerous weapon. Now, that is a good possibility right there. He could be hit with something right there, most definitely, because he was firing off a gun. He was firing off a rifle. So this is a possibility of something where he could be found guilty on this count. Count number 2. So count number 3, first degree recklessly endangering safety, use of a dangerous weapon. Video shows an unknown man leaping at Rittenhouse and trying to kick him seconds before Anthony Huber moves his skateboard towards him. Rittenhouse appears to fire 2 rounds at the man, but apparently misses as the man runs away. This charge is a felony punishable by 12 and a half years in prison. The weapons modifier, again, would add up to 5 more years. Interesting. First degree recklessly endangering safety, use of a deadly or dangerous weapon. I keep on saying deadly weapon, but dangerous weapon. Real talk, deadly weapon. But so here it is. First degree recklessly endangering safety. That's another possibility as well. Now, here's the thing. If they look at this, if the jury looks at this, they're going to sit there and go, wait a second now. He was protecting himself. So it all goes down to when he gets down on the ground, is this or is this not self-defense when he's on the ground? Because when he's on the ground, that's when he's shooting at the unidentified man, which is, by the way, interesting that they never found who the man was. The man was lucky as hell because Rittenhouse shot at him and it went through him, like it just went right by him. He kicked him, and as he kicked him, he kind of dodged the bullets twice. He shot at him twice. But say it again. Shows an unknown man leaping at Rittenhouse and trying to kick him seconds before Anthony Huber moves his skateboard towards him. Now, Rittenhouse appears to fire 2 rounds, 2 at this man, but he misses him. Lucky dude. Real talk, very, very lucky. Okay? So he had intent to put this man down, but it all relies on the fact of, is this self-defense or not? Right? Now, this unidentified man is kicking a man while he's down, but this man had just killed somebody seconds before he fell to the ground. So it all comes down to what the jury wants to say. If the jury wants to sit there and say, hey, no, this was self-defense, or they might go, no, these people were trying to stop this man because he was an active shooter at that time. He shot Rosenbaum. Regardless, and I know, this is why I feel like the spirit of David here, okay? Regardless of, the brain, regardless of how tarnished and messed up Rosenbaum's criminal record was, this man was still a human being. It was still a life that is no longer here, that Rittenhouse took into his own hands and snuffed out. Now, if he was not shot and killed, if he did not shoot him 4 times, Rosenbaum would still be here. And thank you so much for the $2 super chat, Tyler Hackner. Yeah, should have been home. Whoops, it just disappeared. The chat is moving quickly. Should have been home instead of being out, in my honest opinion. Exactly. I do agree. Thank you so much for the $2 super chat. Okay. Now, yes, this dude was a terrible, terrible man, Rosenbaum. But is that something for Rittenhouse? Is that a life that Rittenhouse has the right to take? I'm just saying. A crime was still, even though this guy was a criminal, lowlife, POS, that person is still a human being. And Rittenhouse took that man's life against that man's will. Right? So, if Rosenbaum was not killed, none of this other stuff would have happened. That's the start of it all. Right? That's when it all goes to ish. All right? Count number 4, first degree intentional homicide, use of a dangerous weapon. This charge is connected to Huber's death. Video shows Rittenhouse running down the street after shooting Rosenbaum when he falls to the street. Huber leaps at him and swings a skateboard at his head and neck and tries to grab Rittenhouse's gun before Rittenhouse fires. The criminal complaint alleges Rittenhouse aimed the weapon at Huber. Intentional homicide means just that. A person killed someone and meant to do it. Butcher said that that if Rittenhouse pointed the gun at Huber and pulled the trigger, that would amount to intentional homicide. However, self-defense would trump the charge. So when you look at this first-degree intentional homicide, and I've been saying it before, it all goes down to self-defense. Whether or not the jury agrees or doesn't agree with Kyle's situation when he fell to the ground. Was he protecting himself, or was he not? Or was it just a shooting spree? Count number 5, attempted first-degree intentional homicide. Use of a dangerous weapon. This is the charge for Rittenhouse shooting Gage Gross Kreutz. Sorry, I'm destroying that last name. In the arm, seconds after he shot Huber, and as Gage came toward him holding a pistol. Gage survived. Video shows Rittenhouse pointing his gun at Gage and firing a single round. The charge carries a maximum of 60 years. The weapons modifier would add up to 5 more years. Count number 6, which of course has been dropped, but it was there. Possession of a dangerous weapon by a person under 18. Now, this is what they were going to do, but they dropped that. So now there's only 6 counts right now. So failure to comply with an emergency order from a state or local government. So Rittenhouse was charged with being out on the streets after 8 p.m. curfew imposed by the city, a minor offense that carries a fine up to $200. Judge Bruce Schroeder dismissed the charge during the second week of the trial after the defense argued that prosecutors hadn't offered enough evidence to prove it. Interesting. So there you have it. There were 7. I guess there's now 5 counts, right? Which is attempted first-degree murder, or first-degree intentional homicide, use of a dangerous weapon, first-degree intentional homicide, use of a dangerous weapon, first-degree recklessly endangering safety, use of a dangerous weapon, first-degree recklessly endangering safety, use of a dangerous weapon, and first-degree reckless homicide, use of a dangerous weapon. So you have all those, basically 5 of them, okay? So with that being said, these are the breaks, right? Now we got the jury going in to make a decision whether or not Kyle Rittenhouse is going to walk or no. So I want to hear your thoughts on this. I see that there's the people are still, y'all are still making your votes. By all means, keep the votes going. I want to hear your thoughts on all this. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. StreamYard link is now linked to the top of the conversation. Okay. Let me see. Okay. Love to hear your thoughts on this. What do you think? Do you think he's guilty? Do you think he's not guilty? I personally think he's going to walk. I don't agree with it. I think this young man is guilty as hell. I think that they dropped one of the charges for no reason on a technicality. And I don't know if they said they didn't drop it. They didn't show, or they don't say it in the article why that particular charge was dropped. But they dropped it on a technicality, y'all. On a technicality. Ridiculous, in my opinion. Ridiculous in my opinion. Now, I mean, obviously I don't want to show you guys the graphic details or the graphic videos, because we've all seen it. You know, for those of y'all who are all watching right now, we've all seen it before. We all know what's going down and how it's gone down. But at the same time, this is a big ass situation, you know. Jury is now starting to deliberate whether or not Kyle Rittenhouse is going to walk scot-free, or if he's at least going to catch at least 1 or 2 charges. And if he does catch something, he might get caught with like one thing. And it'll be something very, very mediocre, very, very small, in my personal opinion. You know, obviously, video chat thing is not happening, I guess. I'm going to, maybe you guys are more comfortable throwing in phone call. So I'll put that in there too. So give me a call. Hold on, let me make sure I have it open. Give me a call. I got the phone line open as well. You know, mods, if you guys can, yes, thank you, Debbie, and any of the other mods, if you guys can just copy and paste the phone number and just keep reposting it, that would be really, really great. Give me a call, 314-766-4581. Man, I knew somebody was going to call. Hey, you on the mic with the Pascal Show. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, Pascal. My name is Ray. I'm calling from Orlando, Florida.
Hey, Ray from Orlando, Florida. What's on your mind, man? Speak on it.
Well, okay. Well, I have a feeling about this trial. Like, my thing is, even if he's pled guilty, most likely he'll get a slap on the wrist.
Yes, I do think so too. I think he obviously, if he is found guilty, it'll be on one of the lesser charges. And, you know, he may see the inside of a prison cell, but it might be something as small as it probably won't be as long as we would think he deserves, or as long as we think some of us think he deserves. But yeah, I think he's going to get a slap on the wrist and found not guilty.
Yeah, I believe so, because I remember we was talking about this the other day at work, and I was saying, if Kyle Rittenhouse was a black man, or hell, even Hispanic man, I literally said if he did this, there wouldn't be no trial. They would have locked him up and throw away the key with no problem.
I mean, I think he would have been dead. He would have been dead in the streets, in my personal opinion. That's what I think. I mean, you know,
that too.
You know, when we look at it that way, yeah, without a shadow of a doubt, he would have been, this would have been a wrap. It would have been a wrap for him on the streets. But unfortunately, that's not the case, right? Or fortunately, I don't know. You know, it's not the case.
I mean, because because one thing what does upset me, because I'm watching this trial and also the trial with the 2 guys who killed Ahmaud Arbery, and it's like, and it's like, you know, you have one side, they're lifting up Kyle, and it's like the same people that's lifting up Kyle, they're dragging Ahmaud Arbery's name through the mud like he's a piece of crap.
Right. And that's all they've been trying to do. But it's crazy when you see other commentators, right, that are far, you know, more on the right and all that, and the things that are coming out of their mouths, you know, about this situation, and they're sitting there going, "Oh, no, he did, you know, he did no wrong." But then they look over at a situation like Ahmaud Arbery, and then they sit there and go, "No, he had those 3 men had every right to gun that young man down." Like it just, to me, it's such a heavily biased BS type of situation where it's like, man, if they really opened their eyes and looked at the situation rather than calling him everything except a child of God, you know, I think that it'd be a different result, you know?
Yeah, because the other day I was talking to this with my child and also my neighbor's daughter, and my neighbor's white and her daughter is too, and we were talking about racism in America. And like her daughter's like 10, 11. And she was asking me about that. She was asking why is Cal getting praised while Aubrey's getting dragged through the mud. And I was just saying to her, I was like, that's just how this country is. They see a black man gunned down, they drag the victim's name through the mud. I feel just like they were doing with George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, and Trayvon Martin. She was saying, and that's just sad that is like that in this country. But she was saying that Cal is guilty. She believes the same thing.
Absolutely, man. I mean, you could go all the way back to as far as we could talk about Emmett Till. We could talk about Michael Brown Jr. We could talk about
Tamir Rice.
I mean, we could talk about every single person. This all it is people trying to do everything they can to call them everything except a child of God. And the thing is that we see in 4K this shooting that went down with this young man, with this guy. And the funny thing is that we are so quick, or some people are so quick to say the opposite rather than saying what actually happened, because they're trying to defend their narrative. They're trying to defend one side rather than looking at it and sit in the middle, in unbiased position, because they're trying to feed their own bias. And obviously, instantly, I'm going, I'm biased because of the situation and what it revolves around. And I don't think this is a good kid at all, personally. I think this is a bad.
Same.
I think this is a
same.
bad
I feel
apple.
the same way. I mean, because,
bad apple waiting to happen.
No one wants to bring up something he did before, because I believe he was a high school dropout, and then there was another video he did before when he was beating up on a girl.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's bad. He's bad on all levels, But the funny thing is because this is such a heavily biased situation, it's hard for people to sit in the middle and just look at it in a legal sense. And so when you look at it, in a legal sense, there is still a lot of gray area. Let's keep it real. Is this self-defense or is it not? But when you have somebody who's coming to bringing a gun to a fist fight,
you're looking for trouble.
Exactly. So how much of this is really protection and how much of it is really just murder? But hey, man.
I mean,
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's how I see it. Because like, if I'm going to protect myself, I'm not going to show my gun out carrying around. Because if I'm showing my gun out carrying around, people are going to say, "Oh, this dude's looking for trouble." My thing is, if you're carrying a gun for self-defense, you wouldn't show it. That's just how I was raised.
Exactly. You know what I'm saying? But thank you, man. I appreciate you calling in, taking the time to call in. Thank you so much, my brother.
You're welcome. You too.
Talk to you soon. Peace.
All right.
Hey, you're on the mic with the Pascal Show. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hi, my name is Mary. I'm from Charleston, South Carolina. How are you?
I'm good, Mary. Thank you so much for calling in. What's on your mind? Speak on it.
All right. This is my thing. I've seen that you had commented that he should be guilty, correct?
Yes.
I'm trying to pause your channel right here. I've been watching the trial pretty much ever since the beginning, and this is my question just to everybody. If you were chased by a mob of people like he was, and I think a lot of people forget that he's a young kid. But if you were chased by a mob of people like he was, would you not do whatever you could to defend yourself?
Absolutely. But here's the thing. Here it is.
But by law, though, I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut you off at all.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
It's kind of got me, because I've been watching this for a while. But by law, it should be not guilty by law. But when he was on the ground is whenever he shot. Now, the other guy, the guy that was behind the car, when he said that's a little bit more blurry to see. But those other ones that had chased him, threatening him with the skateboard and everything else, you know, I would have shot him too, because it's your life, or you know what I'm saying?
Sure. Now, I get it that, okay, imagine this, okay?
Mm-hmm.
If he had no gun,
Yes.
Rosenbaum would still be alive. He may have been
Yes.
roughed up. He might have been, gotten a good lashing, right? A good ass
Yeah.
whooping, maybe, or maybe not. But because he brought a gun, a rifle, AR-15 style rifle, this man is gone. Now, I'm not, regardless of his background and Rosenbaum and all that stuff.
Yeah,
okay.
exactly,
Regardless of
exactly.
any
I don't
of that,
buy
is
into the
still,
background either.
regardless of that, it's still a human life. So we got to
Yeah.
boil all the way down. Let's get down to the basics. This is a person's
Mhm.
life. He had no weapon on him. He was chasing after him. Sure. He turns around, stands his ground, and just fires four rounds. Now,
Yeah.
was that necessary? No.
Absolutely
and of
not.
course the charge has been dropped of the legal a legal possession of a firearm.
weapon.
But at the same time,
Yes.
he still was in legal possession of a firearm, period. This is a kid that should not have gone across state lines with illegal possession of a firearm, brandishing his gun out there, showing it off, blah blah blah. This is my rifle. Without it, I am nothing, and without it, it is nothing. Type ish. He goes out here.
I didn't see any of that.
But
I didn't see any of that. But it could be also said too, he did have interactions with that gentleman. For, like you said, a life is a life. There should never be a life taken.
Facts.
But you look at all of these situations, and this is, I think, this goes further out than Kyle or these young men that were killed. This goes years away, where they're being burnt down. There's stuff going on, and nobody is stopping it. So many people think it's cool to run out with guns. You remember that incident where they were in a park and they were like, over 100 people, and their own group were shooting each other, and in a park where children were. I mean, it has become such a thing where, to go out with guns and to do this. And I think, like the mayor in Seattle, it's a summer of love. You know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
I'm a single mom.
Mm-hmm.
With 2 kids. My daughter just turned 17. My little boy's about to turn 14. It scares the living hell out of me for my children to go out into this world, as does a lot of friends that I have, because you see what I'm saying?
No, I get it.
It's just,
this
is a whole bigger picture. And I think the people who should be on trial are the people who should have put a stop to this, or the people who should have listened to us little people, instead of us little people out here fighting each other. And they're sitting up in their big houses.
Right. So I'll say this. Go ahead. Go ahead. No, please finish your thought. Go ahead.
That's just what frustrates me so much. I have this conversation with my kids a lot, and I'm like, it infuriates me that not me, I don't listen to the media or any of the other stupid crap that goes on, but it's like they play us like puppets, man. And then they're like, watch how they go. Oh yeah, do this, do that. Oh, well, vote for me. If people would realize this is all just one big conspiracy, and we're fighting each other. We need to put the guns down and walk up and hug each other. You know what I'm saying? Like,
and I'm with that 110%. You know what I mean? But let me just say something really quick, because everybody's, I see the chat, and the chat is going, oh, he didn't cross state lines with the gun. That's not what I said at all. All I said, hold on, Mary, 1 second. Hold on, Mary. Mary, hold on 1 second. Let me correct this really quick. That's not what I meant. What I meant is he crossed state lines. Him physically crossed state lines. He went out of his own way to leave his own state to go into another state, get his nose in some other state's business, grab his gun from his friend's house, unbeknownst from his friend, took it, went out into the streets, and did his thing. So let me make that abundantly clear with everybody really quick before y'all try to bury me saying that I was trying to say something that I didn't say. Now here it is. Hold on, Mary. Let me just say my piece now. Okay. So when it comes to this whole thing, I do agree. When it comes to gun control, when it comes to a kid running around with a gun, there should have been a stoppage in that situation in the first place when the cops saw him with the gun. When the cops saw him with the gun in the first bloody place. That's what should have happened in the first place. He was a 17-year-old kid. He's a
this would have never happened, though. Do you not agree? If throughout what this has been going on for 4 years with people, look at Atlanta, what not long ago, you know, where there were shootings all over the street, people screaming, you know, like if this would have been stopped a long time ago. I mean, we are fighting each other for a bunch of people sitting up in high chairs thinking, you know, and the whole thing with the crossing a line, Kenosha was his town as well. His grandparents lived there. His father lived there. You know, he had gone to school there. He did, at the point that this happened, he did live the town over. But Kenosha was his town as well. That's like saying I was born in Virginia.
But he's still a 17-year-old boy. But he's still a 17-year-old boy that should have kept his nose in the books and focused on his schooling and focused on being a young man and becoming a good, upstanding, law-abiding young man, rather than him sitting there running off with an AR-15 style rifle and shooting and killing some people. Period. Yeah. And the thing is yes, I agree that back in the day, this probably would never have happened, but we live in a weird ass, crazy ass time. I'm not saying back in the day. I'm saying if it would have been put a stop to this 4 years ago, I mean, think about Ferguson, you think about Atlanta, you think about, like, my mind goes back to so many different places where I see children, like the prosecutor kept coming, the DA kept coming to him, you know, there was a curfew. Why didn't you go home with the curfew? Well, let's see. Was nobody else was? Well, you're 17. You should have gone home. There are 13, 14-year-olds running the streets, you know? So that was a stupid thing to say to him. But my whole thing is, if you have a mob of people chasing you, and this is the bottom line for me, and I said this from the beginning, the guy at the first, I can't really comment on that. That was very blurry. That was a whole different thing. But with that video where everybody has videos out cameraing him and they're chasing him, hitting him in the head with the skateboard, kicking him in the head with his foot. I mean, he never pulled the trigger until he had literally spun on the ground from being hit. What are you going to do when there's crowds on the left, on the right, to the front, to the back, and they're screaming, I'm going to put a bullet through your brain? You know what I'm saying? At that moment, I'm sure, and I'm not in any way saying he was right at all, but in that very moment, not the one before, because I can't really comment on that, but on that moment, I'm sure that boy was scared to death. I'm sure that he was scared because what happened before. Mary, okay, so if you can I speak now? Can I say some stuff? Thank you, Mary. Sir. So let me say this, and I'm going to let you go. Period. He took a man's life. Then he ran down the street. Of course, there's going to be an angry mob. Of course, there's going to be people sitting there going, what the hell? If he had not killed the man first, he would not have been on the ground shooting all those people, period. He would not have to sit there and protect himself. But Mary, I'm going to let you go. I'm going to let you go. I'm going to let you go here, Mary. I appreciate you. Thank you so much for calling. Bye-bye. Hey, you're on the mic with the Pascal Show. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hi, my name's Betty, and I'm calling from Pittsburgh.
Hi, Betty. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm good.
Is there a delay? Because I'm watching you comment, and now you're on the phone. That's weird.
But what's on your mind? Speak on it.
I wanted to try to explain the roots of the law that about an underage, quote unquote, person having a gun in Wisconsin. The root of that law stems from the civil rights movement, believe it or not. When rural and also like city people had the need to defend their farms and property from like looters and robbers and people that wanted to take over their land. So, like if a parent, most likely a mother, their husband had to go to war and they were left, a woman was left home and she had to work in, let's say, a factory. And her underage, quote unquote, children, usually a son, was left to tend the farm. He needed to defend himself. Like if a crowd of 5 men came to pillage the farm, steal their crops and whatever, that is why underage people, quote unquote, are permitted to have long rifles in that state. Does that make sense now?
No, that does make sense. But
I'd like to say I'm sorry for the victim. I'm sorry for loss of life in any way. I had made a comment. My husband's in jail for homicide for defending our property. So I know how this can go.
Right. But
we were hopeful.
So let me say this. He was not protecting a farm, though. I did not see. Hold on. Let me just say my piece. Okay. I've been getting talked over a lot, and it's very irritating. It's not you. It's just that I'm trying to say my piece, and people just talking over me. And I'm just trying to throw in start the discussion here. Okay. So here it is. All right. I didn't see any cows. I didn't see no goats, no pigs, no hens, no roosters going cock-a-doodle-doo in the background. There were no farms. So I understand your point there, but at the same time, there was no farm for him to protect. He was running around with an AR-15 that looked cool, quote unquote, looked cool. Because I'm sure he probably been playing some COD, some Call of Duty, and was like, yo, I want that. I want that kind of gun that I've been playing on my video games in my actual hands. And so he actually bought that. He went out to another state. Sure. His father was somewhere, his father lived in Wisconsin. Sure. That's fine. Right. But he left where his mother lives, is Illinois. He went across state lines, took the gun, right? Left the property in which he had the gun, where the gun was at, was stored at, and went out into the streets. And last I checked, the streets are made of concrete. I didn't see not one goat or hen or pig or cow. So with that, I understand that piece, but I don't understand how that is a viable piece when it comes to a protest that happened on that night.
But would it have made a difference? Like if you bring that, because I went into Wisconsin state law books, and that's how I come upon this law, because I wanted to know if the media was telling me the truth.
Sure. And
where and when did this law come from? So if you bring the farm law into the 21st century, right, into an urban or city, we won't even call it urban, we'll call it city. The travel he made, right, was 17 to 20 minutes away from his home, right? So he was, quote unquote, defending property that wasn't his. I get that.
A whole lot of property.
The farms and the chickens and whatever are the cars and the people that he was defending.
Whole lot of property then, because I mean he was basically trying to protect the entire city, like I said before, like he's Frank Castle up in this piece, like he's the like
Rambo.
Punisher. Yeah, like he's Rambo, and it's like what? So every single
who are
property.
You?
Sorry, say again.
Like who is he to take it upon himself to go out there and act like Rambo?
See what I'm saying?
So like I see both sides of the argument. And then I had another point, like why isn't children, youth, and families, that's what we call it here, CYF, involved if he was under 18 and did all this? Or are they involved, like Department of DCFS or whatever they call it in whatever state? Has anybody asked that question?
That's not that I know of, actually. That's actually a very good question.
Isn't it a good question?
That's a good question. I mean, from what I've known about this case and what I've seen, no one's asked that kind of question. Real talk.
Like if it was such a crime, do you know what I mean? Like people get called for spanking their kids or, not having a coat on their kids or whatever.
Right.
So why aren't they involved? Or are they? And we just don't know because he was a minor and sealed and whatever.
That's interesting, right?
Right.
See, and that
so
part.
Like,
go ahead. I'm sorry.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. You're good.
That perplexed me from day one. None of the media, nobody said anything about. Like I said, we call it CYF. Maybe they call it DCF. Whatever. It's just letters. Why did his parents still have custody of it? I mean, I know he was in jail and whatever, but I don't know. That just blows my mind. Why wasn't that on the media? Children, Youth, and Families is investigating the Kyle Rittenhouse, blah, 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 blah. You see it all over the news.
Investigating the family.
Or whatever.
Like investigating the family and all that too. Really investigating the family and seeing what the heck is going on. They haven't done that at all.
And how did this even happen? How did it get to this point? How did he feel comfortable enough to walk around with an AR-15 wrapped around himself in the middle of the jungle?
Interesting. No, that's a good question because if you really think about it, they do that for any other person, right? Any other person that's involved in some sort of violence or anything of that sort, they will background check, they will investigate, and I've said this a million times before, but they will call that person everything except a child of God. But this guy, for some weird reason, he is some sort of local hero, and that the mother, when she brought him across state, like left Illinois to take him into Wisconsin to drop him off in this area, did they not do their due diligence just to see if she really knew what was going down before she dropped him off?
What was his intent?
Because she's playing dumb. She's sitting there going,
she doesn't want to be charged with accessory after the fact. That's why she's playing dumb.
Exactly. Interesting though. That's very interesting. They have not, and they still have not really dove into that family that much at all. They say now.
And I'm not saying they're guilty or not, the family.
Now, here's the thing, though. What's funny is that they'll sit there and go, "Oh, the family." So apparently the father lives in Wisconsin, in near Kenosha, right? Why aren't they talking about? Why aren't they talking to the father? Right? The gun was the gun. If I'm correct, the gun was in his home. If I'm correct, son Kyle took that gun and left without him knowing. Why aren't they? Is that true, or is the father lying?
I don't know. And how did he even have the keys?
How did he get in?
To the gun case. Like in my state, we're not allowed to have guns. I live in Pennsylvania. Like even if I live in a rural farm area and I have a 9-year-old, she can't have, you know what I mean? Like that stuff has to be locked with a trigger lock, all that.
Yeah.
I don't know if the laws are different in that state, but like I said, how did it get to this point? I understand that he was a cadet and whatever with the fire department, police department or whatever, which is all good. But like you just said, how did he have access to all this stuff? And did his mother know his intent? Did she know this is what I think. He probably told his mom, I'm going to go to her first aid. But that's just conjecture.
Right. How about the father too?
He was just going to help. I don't know about the father.
And I'm saying even on top of that, what about the pops? What about Papa? Right? What did he know? What doesn't he know? Why isn't there more investigation going on with where the gun, who was the last one to have that gun? Why aren't they interrogating the hell out of that person? Why is it only on Kyle and Kyle alone? Why isn't anybody else diving into the last place that gun was before it went out into the streets? Right? That's some crazy stuff. And that would be
where the Department of DCFS comes in.
Exactly.
Or whatever.
Exactly. Well, no, you're posing some really good questions. I really do appreciate you calling in. Thank you so much, sweetheart. I appreciate those questions.
Well, I wanted to let you know too, when all this is over, you can Freedom of Information Act, everything. And you can ask, because that's what I did with my husband's trial. They'll give you everything. They'll give you every transcript, everything. You might have to pay per page, but in that's where you can find out if DC. It won't tell you what Children, Youth, and Families concluded, but it'll tell you if they're involved.
Gotcha.
That's what I want to know.
Gotcha. Oh, and also Silk Rabbit just said the guy who was bought the gun for him was arrested and charged. So we do know that part. Thank you for that reminder.
How old was he?
I mean, of course, he was of legal age because he was able to actually buy the actual gun.
He had to be at least 18 or 21.
Right. He have to be at least 18. So he was able to get the gun.
What was he charged with?
I do not know. I don't know. I'd have to look it up, and I don't remember right now. But I will look it up here in a second.
Minor.
Say again. Sorry.
That's delinquency of a minor. Like I can't give my daughter a beer.
Right.
You know.
Right. No, you are not wrong. You are not wrong on that. But I have to let you go. I know there's a lot of people that are waiting on the helm and at the helm right now. But thank you so much for calling in.
Okay, well, you have a blessed day, and
you
it was
too,
wonderful
sweetheart.
speaking with you.
You too. Thank you.
My daughter said bye.
Tell her bye-bye. All right.
He said bye-bye. Okay, bye-bye.
Well, I need to open up some of these. Let me get one more call. Let me take one more of these calls. Hey, you're on the mic with the Pascal Show. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Hey, Pascal. My name is Mimo, and I'm calling from Central Texas.
Mimo?
Yes, sir. That's my nickname.
Mimo, what's up, man? Where you calling in from
man,
again?
What's good? Central Texas, the Austin area.
Right on, man. Appreciate you calling in. What's on your mind, man? Speak on it.
Yeah, man. Well, this is my first time I'm ever listening to this. I came across this by accident, honestly. But it's, I was reading the comments and commenting, and it's kind of obvious, I think, that a lot of people are not watching the evidence. They're not watching this testimony. We have to take I used to work in the courtroom and watched and witnessed a lot of criminal trials, and we have to take each charge kind of like you do a boxing round. Every round is individually, and you can't base the entire situation and blanket all charges.
No, like,
okay, for example,
please, continue.
Like the first 5 charges have to, they're first degree, second degree. Every single one of them has to do with intent. So the question is not, did he shoot these people? The question is, did he intend to shoot these people?
That is a good question, right? That's the whole reason why a lot of these questions or a lot of these charges are coming out. Like I said earlier, it's like, hey, all of this will come down to if the jury agrees that this is self-defense or not. Like, period. It'll either be self-defense or it'll not be self-defense, right? And then, when it comes to this whole thing, it all comes down to what the decision is going to be made. Because people sit there and say, like one of the callers that I just had a second ago, she just said, hey, when he got to the ground, he was defending himself. He was defending himself because he got kicked in the head. What are you going to do when you get kicked in the head, right? Right. Especially after obviously I have my own personal opinion about this, but that's what's going to go down in the jury when they're deliberating everything in that room with all those jurors. They're all going to be basically trying to figure out if this is if this is in the confines of self-defense, or if this is straight up him just reckless homicide or first degree reckless homicide and all that, right? With a dangerous weapon. What sucks?
Right. No. I understand that. But watching the trial, and I guess the only counts that the prosecution can really prove up, in my opinion, after watching all the evidence, is count 6 and count 7, which were both dismissed by the judge because the prosecution didn't present enough evidence to prove them, which were the legally possessing a firearm by a minor, and which they dismissed due to, I guess there was some subchapter in that law that says long guns are available to 17-year-olds or minors.
Right.
And then there was also the being out on the curfew, which is a $200 fine. And they dismissed that because the prosecution didn't try to prove that, because they think they're so I think they're so obsessed with trying to get him on the murder charges that they completely, I think, lost anything they could have gotten because they didn't prove anything else up and went for the highest thing they could get.
Because I feel like a lot of the other charges, like the lesser charges, were literally like softballs. I'm going to be real. They were like softballs, because it's kind of like you got to aim high, right? And I think that's what happened. They were aiming high, and they were focused on the actual homicide, right? The actual murder of two individuals, that they weren't looking at the smaller charges. I do agree with that, but I think that they were focused on getting those things, because the misdemeanors, those other small charges are nothing. They're nothing burgers, right? They're a $200. It's a $200 slap on the wrist. You know what I mean? They're nothing. So they're kind of like, no, this kid, literally, like, this is the trial. This is a very big trial, and a very important trial, because when we look at it now, if he walks away, they're basically giving everybody the thumbs up, the okay, the pat on the butt, the go ahead to be their own vigilante out in these streets when there's a protest going on. Period.
Yeah, but aren't the protesters and aren't the rioters, people destroying the property, aren't those vigilantes? Isn't that what we should be looking at?
Vigilantes is people taking crime or taking law into their own hands, arresting, killing people in the name of the law, right? Now, vigilantes who a protester that's out there, let's just say vandalizing, doing any type of thing like that, I do not call them vigilantes. I would not call them vigilantes. I call them protesters, or in some cases, rioters. Yeah, in some cases, rioters, right? Rioters or protesters. But I would never call these people that are out there protesting vigilantes, because it's not like they're going out of their way to take, let's just say, someone who killed Michael Brown Jr., right? It's not like they went to Darren Wilson's house, pulled him out, and pulled the trigger right in front of everybody and said, justice is served, right? No, they went out, they protest, they show their rage, they show their frustration and all that. Vigilante, like a Kyle Rittenhouse type, would have taken their gun, went out there, found the person, taken him out into the streets and said, this is the man who did this terrible thing, and then blew his brains out, or did whatever they needed to do, which is arrest him or do something in the name of justice, right? In their own version of justice. That's what a vigilante is. Now, protesters and rioters are protesters and rioters. They're fighting against the system. A much bigger bubble. Vigilante is a little bit more focused, more sniper-like.
Okay,
right?
I see it.
So, and vigilanteism, right, is illegal too. So now if Kyle Rittenhouse walks out into these streets free as a bird, basically the law is saying that vigilanteism is okay in America's book.
That's not true at all.
It is kind of. If somebody's going to sit there, it kind of is though. Think about it. Think about it for a second,
but it's
my brother.
not. I am thinking about it. I've watched many of the much of the testimony.
You got a guy
pretty
who
much
has
all of the testimony.
You have a guy who has an AR-15. Okay, you have a guy who has a gun.
Correct.
He bought it illegally. He
didn't buy it. His friend did. But go ahead.
He bought it, but he gave his money to his friend, and his friend bought it for him. So yes, technically his friend bought it, but actually his friend bought it for him. It is going to be in the possession of him, which is why he was out in the street running around brandishing that gun, because it was his.
And that's why. So his friend's been charged with an illegal straw purchase.
True. I'm with you on that. I'm with you. We're on the same page here, right? Okay, but he went out into those streets and he took the law into his own hands. Instead of him maybe going over to 5-0, which all gave him like the salute and said, "Thank y'all for doing what you're doing, fellas." Instead of him actually going up to the 5-0 and saying, "Hey, there's a dumpster on fire over here," or, call the fire department. This is going on. No. Just being out there and being a straight up, just calling the shots on what's going on. He took his gun. He ran down. Obviously, there was an issue that happened. Rosenbaum followed him, chased after him, and he turned around, planted his feet, aimed, and shot him 4 times. Shot the gun 4 times.
He heard. He heard it. So if you listen to the testimony,
go ahead.
There was a gunshot that rang up before then. There was there was somebody else that I want to say it was Kimsky. I can't remember how to pronounce his name. He rang off a round trying to deter Kyle. Kyle heard that shot from what the testimony said.
Yeah.
He ran off. He sees Rosenbaum, the pedophile, let's not forget that, chasing him. And whenever he turns around, Rosenbaum's hands are out. He's 4 feet from him. He fires shots.
Right.
I think he was self-defending himself after he heard comments saying, "Get him or I'm going to kill him." Now, there's no, he testified to that. There's no proof of that. However, the gunshot, there was about 1 second or 1.5 seconds from that first gunshot that Kyle didn't fire to where Kyle fired.
Wait, repeat that last part again. Repeat that last part. I'm sorry, I didn't hear that part. Repeat it.
Yes, sir. And I'm sorry, I'm standing outside, so
You're
it's a little
good.
windy here.
No. I appreciate you putting your 2 cents, my brother. Continue. I just didn't hear that last part. Just repeat it for me one last time.
Yeah. Yes, sir. So somebody rang off a shot before Kyle ever fired.
Sure.
There was about 1.5 to 1.7 seconds.
Right.
From that shot being fired to when Kyle turned around and fired his firearm at Rosenbaum, who was 4 feet away from him.
Gotcha. Okay, because he shot the gun.
Yeah,
somebody shot the gun in the air.
If that doesn't say self-defense, and obviously being kicked in the head, being hit with the skateboard, shooting those 2 bums.
Okay.
Where do we go from there? If that's not self-defense,
see, now here's the thing. Here's the thing. I will never sit there and call those 2 guys bums. I know that that's your own personal opinion about this, but at the same time, they were trying to stop a guy that they thought could have been an active shooter running around and shooting innocent people. Let's be real on that. If you were in that same area,
innocent people, everybody he shot.
Hear me out. Hold on. Hear me out. Hear me out for a second, and put yourself in those people's shoes for a second. If you were, forget the narrative, forget the bias, just be in that space for just 2 seconds, okay? You're in this area. You have a guy. You don't even know this dude from a can of paint. And you just heard that yards away that this person just killed somebody. And he's running down the street with his gun still in his hands. What are you going to do? Maybe you, now I'm not sitting here saying that you would go and run after him and try to take him down, but you would run away. You would probably try to find cover. You would do something, right? To protect yourself or to protect the other people that are around you that you care for, right? Instantly, when you get that kind of information, you hear about that, you are going to do something about it, period. Whether it's to fight or flight. So it's not, these guys are not bums, not never. They heard something that happened. They saw that there was a man that was down on the ground. This guy who had shot this guy, whether you agree with that man being murdered or not, started running down the street, running. What do you think is going to happen? Instantly, you're going, oh no, not another mass shooting, not another mass murdering situation. So some people took it within themselves to try to take the man down, period. So these guys were not bums.
Yep, and
these guys were trying to stop a man that could have gone off and killed more people. They were trying to stop him.
So they attacked him, as you just said, and he defended himself.
He defended himself. See, that's the thing. That's where I'm on, like, that's where I am resting on the fence. Because here's the thing. He could have just put his gun down, put his hands up in the air after he had shot and killed Rosenbaum. He could have done that.
That's what he was trying to do.
He took off. Not really.
There's video footage of it. Yeah, there is. He's running down. He has his hands up. He's going towards the police.
That's after he shot 3 other people, right? That's after he killed another man.
No, that was before. He was tripped in the process and attacked in the process, correct?
Okay, so if he was, okay, fine. If he was putting his hands up in the air and all that, people don't know that. But like I said, the people that were there did not see that, or were not computing that. They were trying to stop this dude from doing more damage, right? So when he shot Rosenbaum, he literally made a phone call. We all saw that. And then after he made that phone call, he took off running. What do you think that's going to say? What does that translate? Instead of him just going, taking the phone, putting it back in his pocket, taking off the AR-15, putting it on the ground, and just being like this, yo, I'm not, hey. He could have done that too. There were choices that he could have made to stop this whole situation from getting even worse. Yet he ran down
in a
down.
situation where there's a hostile situation with many people, you just shot somebody. You're telling me you would actually put that gun down with people chasing you and run away from the situation and say, "Hey guys, I didn't mean to. Go ahead and take me into custody." That's what you would do.
That's a good question. I don't know what I'd do, because I'd never be in that situation. To be really honest, I would never be in that situation. But
honestly, Pascal, I think we can say this is a really, really unfortunate situation where a lot of people have paid the price in different ways. Like I said, after watching the testimony, after being in courtroom settings, I just don't think that the prosecution did enough.
Oh, the prosecution
did
nothing.
Should Kyle have been there? Probably not. If I'm a parent and I have kids, my 17-year-old would not be out there. And if they were going and they were gung ho and going, maybe I would have to go with them to make sure that they at least try to stay safe. But this is just a really unfortunate situation where many people, or two people lost their lives. One was, and now we have an 18-year-old now, I guess, who is facing jail time for a very, very long time for poor decisions made all the way around. But were they within the law? That's the question.
That's basically the whole argument right now, right? Of course, you and I will agree to disagree on certain levels,
yes,
right?
Sir.
And I appreciate you putting in your opposing opinions here. And so thank you so much for the phone call, man. I appreciate it. All right.
Yeah, man, you do great things. I like what I'm seeing, and I'll tune into more. And I just want to say, let's go, Brandon.
All right, man. Talk to you soon. Hey, you're on the mic with the Pascal Show. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hello.
Hello.
How you doing?
What's your name and where you calling from?
My name is Bobby. I'm calling from Columbia, South Carolina.
Right on, man. What's on your mind? Speak on it.
Well, okay. First of all, you said you would call the people protesters or rioters, and I just wanted to say you could protest a protest. So in that way, if you want to call them militia people or whatever you want to call them, you could look at it as they were protesting the riots, the rioters, to keep buildings safe. And we, in this country, have the right to protest. And it's part of freedom of speech, in my opinion. Now, should a 17-year-old have been there? Hell no. You mentioned also you didn't know what you would do as far as the gun. Drop the magazine, unshaver the live round, put that in your pocket, and then put your hands up. Ain't nobody gonna shoot you with that gun then. You still might get beat by a skateboard. I don't know. But there were people talking about, crack his brain open. I don't remember exactly what it was, but there were people that wanted his head taken off, and, for anybody, that would be scary. But he put himself in that. I mean, it's like if you get on a roller coaster and you don't put the bar down, it's one thing to go somewhere to be scared, for the excitement, but you don't go somewhere to be scared where you might die.
Right.
And I don't know exactly what his motivation is or was for being there. We may never know. But I just want to say the white supremacy angle, and it has died down. I will admit that. And I know where it came from. I don't know where the OK symbol became a white. You might know.
I don't
It
even
was always
honestly.
I grew up and it was the OK sign, you know.
Right. I don't know. I keep thinking that, that is also the it is also, if I'm correct, isn't that the no, I don't even know. Honestly, I've tried.
From in that group rather than 3 white men. And I just want to say, if he's a white supremacist, he needs to work on his supremacy. You know what I'm saying? And I know it sounds funny. I'm glad that angle I haven't heard it nearly as much, and I've driven from Antioch to Kenosha before, and it is a 20-minute drive.
Okay, so it's not
I
even
live in St. Andrews, South Carolina, and work in Columbia, South Carolina. It is a 20-minute drive. I have to cross county lines. I'm just saying.
right. And the thing is okay, this whole thing is a mess. All right, this whole situation is an absolute mess. And the thing is like, even I myself, I don't enjoy talking about this. I really don't, because I know how I know how people think or people feel about this particular situation. It is extremely polarizing, right? But I do know where. Oh yeah, I mean, and that's totally fine. I mean, shoot, we are all on one side of the fence, right? And some are straddling, and some are, you know what I mean? Some are straddling the fence, and a lot are on either side of the fence. Now, when it comes to this situation, I mean, I hate it. Like, I've avoided this conversation like the plague for months because of how much I hate talking about this kind of stuff. But it is a necessary conversation that needs to be had, because I know that some people are going to lean towards one side because of their own natural bias, right? They're going to instantly lean towards people who's, like the last caller, had the audacity to sit there and say, "Let's go, Brandon," right before he left the show. But at the same time, it's one of those things. Yeah, it's all good. I mean, it is what it is. People are going to sit there and say whatever they need to say. But at the same time, you got people, that are, when you hear something like that, you clearly know, okay, he's leaning towards this kid should be not guilty, right?
Now, I'll say this. I don't like Biden. I don't like the administration, but I didn't like Trump. So I fall so far in the middle. Like, I'm very, very liberal as far as social stuff. You know what I'm saying? But I'm rather conservative when it comes to states' rights, specifically as far as the original definition of being a Republican. I don't know where we moved away from it, but Democrat was big government, and Republican was small government. You pass the money on and let them do with as they go here and there. But I live in the South. I think you could tell by my accent. But I'm a conservative Christian white man, but I totally believe in gay marriage. I believe in the word.
You don't fall.
Black Lives Matter.
Right. You don't
I don't
fall.
know if I
you don't fall into that. You don't fall into that monolith, right? You're not a monolith. You are your own individual. You have your own particular opinions about how the world works. You may be conservative, but you may have some, you may have some liberal ideals. You know what I'm saying? Just like any other liberal that's out here, there's some liberals out here that have conservative ideals. So that is understandable. But when it comes
very much, I feel like I'm a centrist. But let me say this, and then I'll let you find somebody else.
Sure.
Do you remember, this was about a year ago, I think it was Jake Paul. And he was, I think it was Arizona, and he just went out there purely to wreck stuff, you know, just to be in the middle of the chaos and even add to it. And that gave other people, when they saw it live online, motivation to then storm these areas. And, you know, but was he ever charged? I mean, you can't say Kyle shouldn't have been there because he kind of learned it from one of the Paul brothers in a way, you know. I mean, that is the problem with looking at celebrities as your role models, you know. Find a role model who's a, you know, look at Jesus or Martin Luther King or Gandhi, or actually Gandhi's not that great of an example once you get to the fact that, you know, find a role model. You know what I mean?
Right.
But don't let it be LeBron James. Don't let it be The Rock.
Right.
You know, unless that person has come out and laid out their values or has run for office, or you know what I'm saying? And I feel like, I don't know if Kyle was wrapped up in the whole internet thing or not. We know he was probably on Facebook. We know he probably read that post that one of the guys that testified, the guy with the really round face and brown hair, I can't remember his name. But anyway, he testified that he made a post on Facebook about coming to protect stuff. Kyle probably saw it there while he was Facebooking with his friends. I don't know. But, you know, I just, this whole case was decided a year and some change ago.
Right.
And now it's being redecided. And it's because people have listened to celebrities who have come out and said this or said that. And I think if people would take the time to, you know, let's say you find an idol, let's say it's Einstein, okay? You think Einstein listened to what, I don't know who a movie star or celebrity of 1905 would be, but no, he found the information probably from every different side, you know, and that's what I try to do, honestly. You know, I might go from near the show, I might go to CNN, and then I'll pop to Fox News.
Right.
I even like going to Al Jazeera sometimes, just because it's an international take.
Right.
And they don't particularly care for us, but a lot of times you'll get a much more honest perspective. No, there's not partisanship. Don't go to Australia, please.
Right, but
it's very conservative.
It's extremely conservative. But see, that's the thing. I mean, when we look at these other, you know, it's good to have opposing views. Like right now, I mean, you know, before you, I had so many other callers that came on that were on the side of he should not be found guilty, and here's the reason why. Right, and those conversations are needed to be had. We need to hear that opposing side. You know, especially on a channel like mine, where I think that, you know, Kyle should be found guilty, because he not only does this say something about vigilantism, right? You know, not only does this say something about vigilantism in America, but this also this is a much bigger deal than just whether or not this kid should walk or not. You see what I'm saying? But hey, I got to let you go. I do appreciate you calling in, my brother. Thank you so much for your opinions and your thoughts. Thank you so much, man.
I appreciate you for your show, man, and your brain.
Thank you, brother. Talk to you soon.
Bye.
Peace. So I got to open up the video chat lines because I know some people have been waiting. We got Paul and we got Laura Estrada. Paul, what's up, man?
G'day, mate. It's Paul here from Australia. How you doing?
Hey, Paul. How you doing? So real quick before I throw it over to Laura, what are your thoughts on this? And the video chat, so you guys know, video chat line is open. If you're wanting to hop on and chop it up over here on this side, please do that. I just closed the phone lines because I know some of y'all have been waiting at the helm over here on the video chat. So, Paul, thoughts?
Thoughts? You guys are very, very interesting, and I love your show.
Thank you.
You are brilliant, mate. You're brilliant.
Wow. Thank you.
May I just say that when you were talking about the gun and you weren't sure how he got it,
right?
What happened was his father took the gun out of the locked safe and put it on the table in the basement, and then walked up. And then Kyle ran downstairs and grabbed the gun.
Interesting.
So it's a bit like, when you can't give a person a medication, but you can leave it on the table and say, there's the Tylenol, but I didn't give it to you. But it's on the table.
Right. I've seen that in movies, like lawyers will say, you know what I mean? I'm putting this wad of cash right here.
Yes.
Now, when I turn around and when I leave and I come back, and if it's gone, hey.
Exactly.
I can't say who took it. So
exactly what happened. Yeah, that's what happened.
Oh, okay. So thank you, Paul, for that added piece, because then that's the thing that's so messed up, because it's like, oh, it was taken from my house and I didn't know he took it. Darn.
No, he knew. But I agree with you. Sorry, I agree.
Please.
I agree with you in regards to his guilt. The first one, I think maybe it's a bit suspicious, but it is the same as he's running down. He's an active shooter. People think he's shot people. So people are going to go after him. It's natural. It's like what in 9/11 when those people downed that plane. These guys attacked, and so the people attacked them to stop any more harm.
Wow.
So I think he's guilty for the next three. The first one's a bit suspicious.
Yeah, the first count?
Yeah.
Oh, wait. When you say the first count?
Rosenbaum.
Oh, Rosenbaum.
Rosenbaum. That's a bit iffy, self-defense. But the next two people he shot, I think he's guilty.
Okay. So you're saying, because I see the opposite, right? I see that with Rosenbaum, it's murder or homicide, right? And then when he went over there, that's where it gets hairy for me. That's where it gets gray. Because you got a bunch of people going after you, trying to kick you in the face and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, I wish he could have just put the gun down or something like that and just surrendered, just went limp or something like that. But a lot of people will sit here and say that's self-defense because he was being attacked.
Yeah.
Because he was kicked while he was down. People were coming after him with a skateboard.
Yep.
Somebody tried to grab his gun from him and all that stuff. Now, and then my whole argument is if he had not killed Rosenbaum, none of that would have happened. There would not have been a swarm of people trying to protect. In my mind, I see it as them trying to protect not only themselves, but the people around them as well, right? They're trying to take down an active shooter because they don't know anything. All they know is that a man, regardless of his criminal background, has been shot and killed. An unarmed man has been shot and killed behind some cars. And they're going, oh, crap. This kid could be going crazy right now, trying to do headshots on everybody, thinking that he's living a real life Call of Duty type situation or Grand Theft Auto, right? So that's the part where I go, well, is that self-defense or not when he was on the ground? What are your thoughts, Paul?
You put it like that, it sort of swayed my mind a bit. But I think it's still self-defense, when he is on the ground. As soon as he put that rifle on himself, hopped in the car and went to wherever he had to go, he had to take responsibility. You grab a gun, you wear it, you take the onus. That's how I feel.
Thank you. Because you're putting people's lives in your hands now. Because that's
right.
You have that responsibility. That gun can take many people's lives just by pulling the trigger, by you pulling that trigger, right?
Exactly right. So whatever happens, it's your own fault. You've worn that gun.
There you go.
That's what I think anyway. I mean, I could be wrong, but I mean, as soon as you hop in a car and drive, you are responsible for driving.
Right.
What you hit, what you do, what red light or green light you don't go through, you're responsible. You take on that responsibility as soon as you hop in that car.
Word. You know, good point. Okay, I had Laura first, then she got kicked off. Can I I'm going to throw it over.
Go
to
ahead.
Quick. No.
Okay.
Stick around because this is, and of course, like I said, the video chat link is still above, pinned to the top, y'all. And of course, we do have that question, that poll. So please be sure to hit that and let us know: is he guilty or not guilty? All right, due to the performance in the court. What were we going to say?
I've hit that already. So yeah, guilty.
Thank you. But everybody else in the chat, please be sure to do that. Laura, hello.
Hello.
How you doing, sweetheart?
Oh, well, my blood pressure is skyrocket, and
Yeah,
I'm
mine
sure
too.
yours is.
Now I need a drink.
I know you do. So bless your soul, first off, because you've been doing great, Pascal.
Thank you.
Anyway, I really truly am kind of just shocked how this whole conversation's gone, and I agree with this being really tough, and it's so divisive in the chat room. I mean, this is honestly the first time that I feel really depressed about the show. I'm being honest, because when it comes down to it, this is this young kid who isn't. I'm not judging. I'm going by what I truly believe in my intuition. This is an incel kid who's probably been bullied. He probably plays tons of video games, and he went to a Black Lives Matter. What am I thinking here? I'm so frustrated. Black Lives Matter. When he's over there protesting, yes, with the gun, walking around. Those people are there protesting the exact thing he's doing. Like, we're there for George Floyd. We're there as a country. There's people trying to say this is not fair, and it's happening right in front of us. This isn't fair. Like, the way people are acting, like, it's not racist. It's not about color. It's about everything, guys. This is the problem with our country right now. That's why we're separated. That's why someone brings up Republican and Democrats and Trump and Biden. It's about a kid who was underage and went to a Black Lives Matter event with the gun, and you're there, and you're already passionate about everything, and we already know that there's haters regarding this whole movement. I mean, people right there at BLM, everybody's like, that guy saying the Brandon thing, there's a lot of haters here. And yet when people are like, oh, that guy, the guy that got shot, he's a pedophile. Well, you know what? Stop. This kid killed somebody. Really, a skateboarder running after people, like Paul's saying, it's like mob mentality too. You saw someone just got shot in front of you. And like you said, Pascal, everybody is like, what the hell just happened? And there's going to be the heroes that go and get the bad guy. I mean, hello, like, you see it in a movie every day, right? Like, everybody acts like it was going to be just done a certain way. And then the whole thought of not being realistic, that if it was a Black teenager, Pascal, it would be a Black Lives Matter again over there.
I mean, it would be a protest on top of a protest. What I mean? So I agree. I mean, this would have been chaos on top of chaos on top of chaos. It would have been even worse.
Worse. And we're talking about how bad this is, but this is worse because no one is facing the truth of what it's about. Like, can we all stop acting like we don't know what it's about? Please, stop.
I don't think that's the case, Laura. I really think we're really totally aware of the Black Lives Matter situation. That's how it all started.
You are, Paul. Also, people that aren't Americans know way more about the state of our crazy country. Americans don't know. We don't know. Right. You know.
If we rewind, Laura, what it all came back to was a man hopping in his car being shot 8 times by the police. That's how it started. And that has to be recognized, I think, I mean, that's how I feel. But but the trouble is the protesters were valid, but we're talking about at night time. I think the protesters, and I believe in Black Lives Matter, have a right to protest, but I think they should have closed the streets after dark. They should have closed off the streets after dark. Okay, you've done your protest. We understand. You've done your right. Let's close. It's such a small town. Let's just close just close the street.
True.
Right.
Yeah.
Tyler, hello.
Oh, hi. I was waiting to get a chance to speak.
You good, man. You good. Hey, no, Paul, Laura, y'all, no. It's an open conversation. Y'all are good.
Okay.
Tyler, you have the floor now. So speak on it, brother.
Yeah. Yeah, like the entire time I was pretty much clapping every time Laura was speaking. Yeah, I just want to say, I just think, I just don't understand why it even got to that point. Like, why was he even there? Like, I just don't understand how people could be like defending somebody that, well, yeah, ended up shooting 2 people and just caused all sorts of mayhem. He was at an already highly charged, emotionally, racially charged protest, and he pretty much, like, from my view, he just escalated what was already an already highly charged event, and to me, it just shows that America is just going to reward just a lot of white. Yeah, America rewards white supremacy. Say
it. That's what we're not talking about. We're going to reward. He's not gonna. We're sitting here. What's the poll, Pascal? If you think he's gonna be guilty or not.
Oh yeah, let's check that out. Thank you so much for asking that. I said in the poll, it has 837 votes right now. What do you think the verdict is going to be for Kyle Rittenhouse? It is 68% not guilty, 32% guilty so far. Huh?
This is what people think is going to happen, not what they want to happen, or like.
No, this is what they think is going to happen. What do you think is going to happen? Not what do you think he's guilty or not? This is a whole. That's why I kind of reiterated it when I put it up, because I was like, hey, I want to make sure that you guys know. All right, off of just the case and after the trial itself, is he going to be found guilty or is he going to be found not guilty? The other question I have for everybody out here is, how long do you think the jury's going to be out to deliberate? Is it going to be just a day? Is it going to be a couple of days? Are we going to hear anything by the end of this week?
It's going to be a hung jury, I reckon.
You think a hung jury?
Yeah.
So that means he still walks.
Yeah, but retried.
Yep.
But the good thing about that's going to be for the prosecution, what I know about American justice is they have him on record now.
True.
They have him on record. So a hung jury would be great for the prosecution. So if they retry him, they can go, well, you've said this.
Right. And then we'd have to go through another amount of BS just so we can actually get him either thrown in jail or for him to walk scot-free.
Yeah. He was just young, dumb, and full of, I won't say the word.
Yeah.
Full of it.
Full of it.
Full of man juice.
Yes.
Yes.
Pascal, can I say something?
Yeah, please, Laura. Go on, Hans. Speak on.
I'm having like such flashbacks of the whole Zimmerman trial. Obviously, he was not a minor, but just that's how I'm feeling. That anxiety of injustice, and it's true. Like when it comes down to it, you could say whether it's self-defense. Well, he murdered somebody. He went there with a gun, not to shake hands and to say, brother, I agree with you, and let's be friends. No, he was there to aggravate, scare, fearmonger, bully. I don't know. But he was a man when he had that gun. He sure thought he was. And then he sure cried like a baby on the stand when he realized, oh, I got caught. Like those tears are crocodile tears.
We got James on, and we're going to talk about those crocodile tears in a second. But James,
how you doing, man?
What's up, man? Welcome to the show. Where you calling in from?
Indianapolis.
Indianapolis. Well, thank you so much for hopping on to the Pascal Show. What's on your mind? Speak on it.
Well, I watched this whole thing go down. There were multiple live streamers that night.
Yeah.
And, the fact is that if watching from the different perspectives, I mean, I think I was watching 3 different perspectives when it all went down. Everybody thought it was an active shooter. Nobody thought it was, some peacemaker that was there that they were going to screw with,
Thank you, James.
So, I mean, that's the first thing. The other thing is, I think this dude's mentality, because I was watching, the different riots going down, and I was watching this thing going down. There were these kids that were showing up at these things with bad intentions. There were some that were there to cause havoc, some that were there to, I don't know, it was just like a free-for-all. You know what I mean? I think they felt like it was going to be like a Grand Theft Auto or something. They're just going to go around and do what they wanted to do. And I think that's what his plan was, and it went wrong. It went bad,
I do think that he had plans on being a hero to begin with. He got what he asked for, but he bit off more than he can chew. I think that's what happened.
He's a kid. He's a child. He's 17 years old at this stage.
But there was a lot of kids there doing this kind of thing. That's the problem. I mean, there were kids there. They were looking to just go out and go wild.
Exactly. I think it's, and I hate to use, I'm not trying to say like, oh, we're going to use video games to the reason why, but I keep thinking like a lot of these kids are playing these video games. Obviously, he had experience with guns. It's not like he's never held a rifle before in his life. He has held weapons and guns before, but it seemed like, you know what I mean? Like you finally get this gun because it looks cool. You run out. You're going, hey, I'm going to be a hero. Then all of a sudden, the heroicism, right, in your mind, the action that you're looking for presents itself. And you choose to go down a route that I think was the worst choice of a route, and obviously ends up killing people.
And that's what distinguishes us between animals is we have choices.
Right. Free will.
Or it goes the other way. He goes out looking to be a hero and all this other stuff, and he finds himself over his head, and maybe he was scared. But that doesn't mean that he shouldn't, he has to take responsibility for being there with that weapon at that time.
Right. And that's the thing. He went out of his way to take that gun off the table that was out of the safe that his dad ever so gently put on that table and said, hey, if it's gone when I wake up tomorrow morning, hey, I didn't know you took it. That's unbeknownst to me type of thing. So he goes off with that gun, and then all hell breaks loose, right? So there's a serious conversation here beyond just him that circles around gun control and all that stuff, which we're not going to get into right now.
No.
But this whole thing, when it comes down to this verdict, it's going to say something about vigilantism in this country. If he walks, this basically is giving any person that wants to go out there and take the law in his own hands, that wants to be the Punisher, be their own Frank Castle, they're basically saying it's okay with us. Now, I do have Joel
It's a
Garcia.
scary precedent.
Yeah, exactly. I do have Joel Garcia in the house. Hello, Joel.
Hey man, how you doing, Pascal? I love your show and thank you for having me. One question is,
speak.
This is interesting because this is the Second Amendment right. Probably this kid, 17-year-old, he's hanging around with a crew that knows what they're doing. You know what I mean? He was with that crew to defend a place. So he was doing his job. They call him out and tell him, hey, this is the mission that we got to do tonight. So you in or not? As in probably say, yes, let's go. But I think he knows the law and everything about the Second Amendment and all that, self-defense and everything. I think what he did, that's what he did. He tried to defend himself. You got a gun, somebody after you, running, they're going to take your gun. What you going to do? You're going to shoot them. Because they're going to take your gun. Either your life or his life. Which is going to be? Right. So he's 17. He's a kid. Probably it's the first time he did that. But he got hit. He got kicked, and then he got hit by a skateboard too. So he got to defend himself too in there too. So he kept on walking. He surrounded himself. I think I'm not, but it's the self-defense. The law says you got to defend yourself. That's what I'm saying.
But may I just say something? But you can't point a weapon at people. And that's what he was doing. Well, he was pointing a weapon at people.
What I saw in that video was he was running, and the guy was behind him. He was running. He shot him in the back. He front. You saw the video.
Yeah. But before that, though, when he was in the car space lot, whatever it was, he was seen and known to point his gun at people. And you can't do it.
Can I say something?
Go ahead, Laura.
All right.
I was gonna say also, what is that weapon used for? It's used for the people would chase. There was a skateboard, and people wanted to beat him up. I mean, I get it. He's probably he's got a gun. I mean, you said he was going to defend himself, but those people have a skateboard in their arms, and they may beat him up. He is going to turn around and shoot him. Like when I just read that chat that said, "Oh, he was defending the businesses." Really, buddy? There's police. Like, really, a 17-year-old is going to go with a gun and guard the businesses? Give me a freaking break. Like, it's a gun. What are guns used for? And like, they're there to hunt. They're there to. He had a rifle that was not meant to go and have fun and shoot at some birdie targets or something. I mean, I just don't understand where people are making excuses for violence.
Yeah. The United States is based.
I know. I mean, that's the problem.
You could conceal a weapon. You could have a weapon. It's nothing bad. It's not. It's know how to handle it. You gotta know how to handle it situations like that. I think if we were in that place having a gun like him, I think if somebody's gonna attack you, I think we're gonna do the same thing. That's my thoughts.
Well, this isn't the Wild West, Joel. That was a long time ago.
Well,
I feel like it's the Wild West right now. I'm being honest.
It's not the Wild Wild, and that night was the Wild Wild West. That night was a Wild Wild West. But that kid wanted to be a hero and try to help out, and those guys want to attack him. What you gonna do? You gonna get yourself beat down and get killed? I don't think so.
I think
go ahead.
Before I leave, because my battery's running out, Pascal, so I'm going to go. But I just thought I'd just add one last thing is to say it was a small town. It's not New York. It's not LA. It's a small town. The street itself, the town itself is only small. The amount of pressure that went into that town is just, it would be just amazing just to be a fly on the wall.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead, please, Paul. Please.
Oh, no, that's all I had to say.
Okay.
Thank you for having me.
No problem.
And thank you for listening to me, guys. I appreciate it.
No problem. Hey, actually, I got to let all you guys go. So,
Thank you, Paul.
Tyler,
Thanks,
Joel, James, and Laura. Thank you all.
Thank you.
I really appreciate
Thank you, Pascal.
Thank you, Pascal. Thanks. See you guys. See ya.
Thanks.
Bye. So obviously, there's a lot of opposing views right now. Clearly, there's a lot of opposing views in regards to this. Have mercy. And I appreciate everybody who came on to call. I mean, even people who agree, the people who disagree, all that. You guys all have a right to have your own personal opinions and all that, and of course things got heated. Welcome to this conversation. Welcome to the Kyle Rittenhouse conversation, because it's always going to be a heated debate at some level, right? And it's frustrating, but not everybody's going to see eye to eye. Not everybody's going to agree on certain things, right? But that's what's so important, is being able to have that open conversation being at that table, have that discussion. But the most important part of it all is having respect on that table at all times. So even in the chats, even in the phone calls, even in the video panel, right, that we just had, the video chat panel, it is crucial that we remember that respect is the most important thing when it comes to having a disagreement on something. When it comes to talking about something that is so polarizing as the Kyle Rittenhouse trial or the Kyle Rittenhouse story, right? So I do want to say to everybody who was staying respectful in the chat, that was staying respectful in the phone calls, I really commend you all, because this is such a hard conversation. You know what I mean? It's a hard conversation for sure. And things are not going to get any easier. Once we get the verdict, once we find out the true verdict of Kyle Rittenhouse's fate, there's going to be people that feel some type of way about it, whether he walks out scot-free or if he gets found guilty. All right. If he's found not guilty or guilty, there are going to be very upset and angry people on both sides of the fence, or on either side of the fence. Okay. But at the same time, we all need to know that respect is always on the table whenever it comes to these conversations. Real talk. Okay. Zozo Bob said something real quick before we head out. Okay. He says, when are you going to cover the Ahmaud Arbery trial? I will be covering that very, very soon. I'm kind of waiting for it to get closer to it wrapping up, closer to when the jury makes their decision, because there are so many other stories going on. There's so many different topics and issues going on. That one is next, right? So I'm kind of waiting for the Kyle Rittenhouse story or trial to wrap up, and then we're going to be getting into the Ahmaud Arbery trial as well. I have been posting things on Twitter and on Instagram as well, just certain things, moments that have recently happened in that particular trial, in the Ahmaud Arbery trial, which is absolutely just insane. Just insane, y'all. Talk about racism and white supremacy at its best being shown in that trial, literally. Okay. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, just go to my Instagram page. It's the Pascal Show, one word, and go check it out. I just recently posted something this past weekend, which was absolutely insane. Now, Reverend Jesse Jackson was in the court as well, and they were making a big deal about having a black pastor in the space as well, which was ridiculous when the majority of the jury is white and there's only one black juror out of 12 jurors. 11 of them are white and one of them is black. One in this trial. Talk about fighting uphill. Okay. So we will be talking about that. Real talk. LP, you're not wrong. You know, I think that when it comes to the verdict, which I do think that that Kyle Rittenhouse is going to be found not guilty, the streets are going to be on fire. I'm going to be honest. People are going to be very, very upset, and rightfully so. I don't think that this man should be able to walk. I think this man should be incarcerated, thrown into literally thrown into jail, throw away the key. That's what I think. Because I think he needs to be held as an example that vigilanteism, all right, is not okay in this country. Period. Should not be okay. And some of these people should not be dead right now. Some of the victims those victims should still be on this planet. That's what I think as well. They should still be alive. But he put matters in his own hands. He put lives in his own hands, and he took those people's lives. That's it. You know? So, Zozo Bob, just to answer your question one more time, I will be covering the Ahmaud Arbery case for sure. But like I said, I'm getting closer. We're getting closer to that I'm trying to close this chapter with the Kyle Rittenhouse story, and then we're going to move on to the Ahmaud Arbery piece, because I think once we get to the closing arguments, because right now they're just doing pieces and pieces, and there have been some bombs that have been dropped, right, surrounding that particular murder. But I also am waiting for it to get closer to the end of the chapter so that we can talk about it fully in its entirety. Okay, so be on the lookout for that. So anyway, it's time to get going, but I will be on tonight at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time, so be on the lookout for that. We are going to be chopping it up. There's a lot to talk about, so we will be conversating like a mug tonight at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time, all right? And I will keep a close eye on the verdict, on the jury, if they're going to be coming out sooner rather than later. They might come out later on today. We never mother loving know, but if they do, you'll find out right here on the Pascal Show. Anyway, it's time to get going. Be good to yourselves. Be good to one another, and I'll see you guys tonight at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. This is the Pascal Show. Bye.
You're going to perform tonight. I can't make this interview boring because this man is too exciting as a host. And I'm truly saying this, and if y'all can't do this, me and this man here is going to leave and go somewhere else where we can get some love. I want everyone in the building to say, I love Pascal on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Wow.
Homeowners and property managers, if you're looking for effective and humane ways to remove wild animals and deal with the damage that they have caused, we have good news for you. Introducing Wildlife Command Center. We are the only wildlife company that checks 70 different areas on a structure to determine the answers to the following questions. For more information, call us now.
The Fur and Leather Center, providing the highest of fur and leather goods.